Okay guys, so I have another review for you today. This one was sent to me by GearBest. Thank you very much for this. This is a review of the Segotep LUX. It is a like mid-tower gaming PC case with an acrylic front panel and usually an acrylic clear panel. But sadly the one I got sent was actually frosted. This is the side panel that we got. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it off for this review, simply so that I don't judge this case on the one panel that I got, because if you order it, chances are you're going to get the clear. So getting into this is a pretty well priced case. So you kind of get everything you want. You get, like, these fans aren't included. These came out of the Game Max Moonstone. I tried to get them to work, but sadly they need a particular connection that only comes on the Moonstone for them to actually work. So you don't get fans with this case, but I mean you can get fans pretty cheap. But you kind of get everything you'd want. You get this clear front panel with that air that can come in the inside or in the side, and then you get a straight passage through. There's no drive cages blocking any of the air coming from the two top fans. The bottom fan feeds air into the hard drive bays, so you come straight through right to the rear fan. So if you have a CPU cooler in the middle there, it'll just suck air straight through. There's no obstruction. So yeah, this case is quite nice. It is a quite a nice looking case. You have a PSU shroud with two places to mount fans. Again, I'll never understand why you can put a fan there. I mean, everything down there is basically passively cooled except for the power supply, and that brings air in from the bottom. So all of the front panel connections are kind of just sitting here, and don't worry about these cables there for the fans. We have 3 places to mount SSDs, and for some reason we only get one SSD mount. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it would be nice to see more than one SSD tray, simply for the fact that if you have 3 areas and it can only mount one in one place, you know, it makes sense to have 2 more trays. We do have 2 places for hard drives under here. I will get to that once I go around to the back. We get a decent sized CPU cutout. I mean, it's nothing major, but it's enough that you can probably just reach the back plate for your CPU. We get I believe 7 PCIe slots. The first one is removable, the rest are punch outs. Again, at a case of this price, that's pretty standard. Although we do have another one of these PCIe cover yokes that I despise, but I mean every brand seems to be doing them now. I'm not sure what the point is, but every brand does them. I mean, that's really it for the motherboard tray. There's nothing major there. You do get your screws and whatnot, just twist tight to here. Yeah, there's nothing really major going on in here. No brand along the bottom like you see with some cases. Excuse me. It is relatively basic in here, but for me, I quite like that, because I like doing builds that are very just sleek, no major angles or whatnot. We do have a removable magnetic dust filter up the top for I believe you can fit up to a 240 up there. Whether you would really water cool in this case, I'm not sure. You'd probably go for something a little bit more high end if you're doing water cooling. Just because I feel like the SSD trays, actually I know the SSD trays will run into problem with a radiator, because I've built in a case like this before, and that collides with fans, which means it'll definitely collide with a radiator. So no radiator in the front, but you can get a 240 in the top. So AIO would be perfect. Custom loop, not really. I believe this case uses the frame off another one of Segotep's cases, because the top fan actually uses the 2 5¼ inch punch out slots for the air to come through. So if I just turn this like so, you can see in there 2 5¼ inch slots. So obviously the frame in this case is the same frame off another case, but I mean, if it works, it works. Most brands that make cases this kind of price point regularly do that anyway. It stops. It cuts down the R&D costs, so there's no need to start making new frames when they can just bump up the amount they make of a different one. It saves money overall. I have the rear panel off, and don't mind this Velcro. That is from the That is from the control box off those GameMax fans. I forgot that was there. So, if I go back to these front panel connections, all the cables are black except for the power switch, which is black and grey. So, I mean, that's hardly a bad thing. I do like when all the cables are black, just because it makes the build look so much nicer, especially if you can see them, which you actually won't be able to, because I forgot to mention beforehand that there are 2 cable mounting routes for under the motherboard, right on top of the power supply shroud. So again, that's another plus. You'd be surprised how many cases that are nearly twice this price, and like they don't even include that one little thing that makes the build so much easier. We have 2 hard drive trays. They don't go on wheels like some other ones do. They use these kind of textured tracks, and they kind of catch. So these are a bit irritating to get out, but I mean, like, it is nice to have toolless bays rather than screw-in ones. So basically how you use these is the hard drive gets put on there, and then you bend it, clip it in there, and then this one bends out and clips in. So I do like seeing when you can pull them apart, when they're kind of not mechanical, but they like slide apart. I prefer those ones, but in most cases use these. I am a nitpicker, realistically. And I've tried to slide this back on, and there we go. So these are good for a hard drive or an SSD. So you can have up to 3, or you can have up to 5 SSDs, or 3. I'm not sure if you're able to mount an SSD without the SSD trays, but so you can have up to 5 SSDs theoretically, and 2 hard drives, and 3 SSDs. Here again we see that moderately sized CPU cutout, nothing major like I said, but it is better than some of the really small ones you find. There are no rubber grommets, but I mean, if you're confident in your cable management skill, you're not going to need them. Like, I rarely need rubber grommets to make a build look good. All you do is route the cables around all the holes and it looks perfectly fine. So this is a cable for the fan, never mind. So we can fit like an average ATX power supply in this. You won't get your 1000 watts or whatever, but you will get like a 750 watt or anything up to about an 800 watt. We do have a kind of small air filter here for the power supply. I feel like a 120mm fan is bigger than that, so we might be restricting airflow a tad. But again, a power supply will never get that hot. I mean, I don't see why a power supply will ever get that hot. And we don't have rubber feet for where the power supply sits, which, if we go by the Verge's logic, that means our power supply is going to short out. Hopefully everyone gets that joke, because otherwise it sounds like I'm saying a bad thing. Okay. Yeah, there's nothing major back here. It's a very minimalist case. There's nothing that stands out amongst the crowd. It kind of fits into the crowd pretty well. The one thing I did find quite odd is on the front. If you have a look at the front, and I'm sure everyone, when they first saw this, would have thought that those were actually intakes. They are not. They are actually not indents, the opposite of indents, but the word is evading me currently. On the inside, they actually bulge out on the inside, and it makes it look like intakes there, which I find incredibly strange. I mean, it's not really going to make a difference. You get a bit of air in the side, so you're going to get air to your fans nonetheless. But it would have been nicer to see those intakes. We have the Segotep logo across there in silver, which I actually think looks quite nice. We have our big power button here. Again, I think that looks quite nice. And then if we turn the case up here, you can see we have our reset button, 2 USB 2, 1 USB 3, and our headphone and microphone jack. So I reckon if I can get parts, I can do a nice build in this case. I'm going to try and get 4 blue LED fans, like maybe the GameMax Windforce ones, the ones that have like the 32 or 16, I forget exactly, LEDs around it. I think that would look very nice in this case. So that's really it. As I was saying before, we were rudely interrupted by the sudden human combustion outside. I think I could do a really nice black and blue build in this. But I would like to take some time to talk about GearBest, the company that sent me this case. GearBest is an online electronic superstore. They sell most electronics, mobile phones, tablets. I believe they sell smartwatches, just not the Apple ones. Or they might. I actually haven't checked. I believe they sell clothes as well, which I was kind of confused about. And now they're moving into doing desktop gaming apparel and whatnot. Apparel is the bad word. Peripherals and components. They've started doing graphics cards. A lot of them are the NVIDIA cards. They have very few AMD cards from my search around the website. They have a lot of keyboards. You would have seen my other video about the AlphaWise version 2. Love the keyboard. They do processors, motherboards. I'm actually thinking about getting my next X370 board off them. But yeah, they have very competitive prices, and they offer brands that a lot of the time Amazon don't carry. So it's a pretty good give and take. Some people like Amazon because, well, everyone's been using Amazon the longest, but GearBest have a lot of compelling products that you could go for. I know for a fact I will actually be going to them for a couple of products because I just can't really find them on Amazon, and if I can, they're either don't ship to Ireland, so I have to use partial motel, which is kind of annoying, or it's kind of just a faff. But yeah, so thank you GearBest once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm trying to say that more. I need to up my following there. Yeah, see you in the next video. Goodbye.